Celebrating 50 years as Apopka's hometown station. 1520 WBZW. Apopka, Orlando. Community events, financial news, weather, traffic, and more.
A service of Salem Media Group.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Officials in Orlando, Florida are asking for the public's help in finding out more about killer Omar Mateen and his movements prior to the mass murder at an Orlando nightclub.
I would ask anyone out there that thinks they may have something of FBI concern, bring it to us, no matter how small. We do want to see anything you have that you may have concern with.
FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Ron Hopper says he won't comment about the Bureau's interview with the shooter's wife.
That is only one of many interviews that we've done and will continue to do in this investigation.
There's been speculation that the gunman's widow may be charged in the case. A Florida sheriff says it appears the alligator that snatched a waiting child yesterday at Disney World apparently left the body near the spot where he was last seen. The body was intact. An autopsy is to be performed. The child from Nebraska was with his family. He was in less than a foot of water at the edge of the Seven Seas Lagoon. His father, who suffered lacerations, was unable to free the toddler from the alligator. Senator Marco Rubio says he may reconsider his plans to leave the Senate at the end of this year.
I'll go home later this week. And I'll have some time with my family, and then if there's been a change in our status, I'll be sure to let everyone know.
The filing deadline for the Florida Senate race is June 24th, a week from Friday. Rubio's been under huge pressure from GOP leaders to run for re-election. They believe he has the best shot of keeping his Florida seat in GOP hands. Egypt says it has zeroed in on the wreckage of the Egypt Air jetliner that crashed last month in the Mediterranean while headed to Cairo from Paris. That's according to a statement from the country's investigation committee. A private search vessel contracted by the government will join the search for the flight data recorders. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 35 points, the Nasdaq dropped 9, the S&P lower by 4, and crude oil down to $47.43 a barrel. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or your 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. But with the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can see them anytime. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. You can trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-5882 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call Augusta today, toll-free 1-855-222-5882. That's 1-855-222-5882. Or visit Augusta Precious.
Hey everybody, welcome to WDW News Tonight. I know obviously the show already is very different from most weeks. Usually I'm already screaming and making jokes, but obviously this is a very unique week here in Orlando. And so at least in the early going of this show, things are not going to be as fun as they usually are. But another purpose of this show in a lot of ways is to tackle some topics that may be somewhat uncomfortable or not the most fun, but probably need to be talked about. And certainly all of the events in Orlando this week are on our radar and things we should talk about, and so we're going to talk about them. So in just a couple of minutes, we're actually going to have an expert on the line. We're going to have a real conversation about safety at the parks. We're also obviously going to talk about things that have transpired since Sunday. Of course, the whole alligator incident, which does directly indeed apply to Walt Disney World because it happened there. So first of all, at the top of the show, I do want to say this has been obviously a really terrible week in what is usually an extremely, extremely fun place to live. And this is a place where people go generally to escape the real world, and unfortunately the real world has kind of encroached on us this week. In WDWNT fashion, I'd like to help out in the most, obviously it's nothing major, but it's the most we can do as people who just cover theme parks. But obviously, throughout the night, we're going to ask you to donate, certainly more so in the second hour, to, oneorlando.org. There it is. Jason has put it up for everybody. OneOrlando.org is the organization that Disney donated $1 million to very graciously yesterday. And so we would like to help them out this evening. So if you enjoy this show, if you enjoy Disney World, which Orlando is a wonderful, wonderful home for, and is always very accommodating of all of us who visit and our beloved Disney World. So please donate if you can. I do promise second hour we're going to try to have fun. We're going to try and have a little joy in this week if we can. But the first hour, really, I think these are important things to talk about. I will warn people going in, it could be a little uncomfortable. Obviously, a lot of people have lost their lives this week, but these are things that apply to what we talk about. Is Walt Disney World a safe place in light of the events of Sunday? Certainly it is talked about in the media a lot that Walt Disney World was targeted at one point, so we want to talk about that. And obviously we have to talk about the gator incident, because it is clearly going to have, probably starting as soon as tomorrow, very widespread effects on the future of Walt Disney World. Things that have stood for 45 years are going to be very different come the days ahead. So with all that being said, I promise we'll have fun next hour. We're going to try and raise some money for a really wonderful cause and make a difference, and not just be here for fun as usual. With that being said, I do. Nick LoCicero's over there. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Tom.
How's it going?
As good as it can be.
I know.
Tough week.
I've only been a citizen of Orlando for 3 years now. You've been here a very long time.
Yeah.
What have you been here, over 10 years now?
Since '97.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, almost 20 years.
Jeez, I didn't know you'd been here that long.
No, I've lived.
It's been that long.
Yeah, I've lived longer in Orlando than I have anywhere else. It's out of this, out of what happened, it's amazing to see the city really come together. It's a city that I think always struggled for an identity. Always trying to say, hey, we're more than just theme parks. We've always tried to build a downtown district and make it something with arts and food and everything. And we've always been this community that has struggled with this, whether it be coming together even for sports teams and things like that. We've always struggled on this stuff. It's amazing to see. Also, we're a pretty transient community. I mean, people come here to go to school. People come here, from other parts of the country.
Just to go to theme park.
Yeah, we have people from all over the country, and honestly, a lot of people don't know Orlando. A lot of people think of Orlando as the theme parks, and the most major one isn't even in Orlando, and technically, yeah, and so
but it's all even though you say that, like people in Kissimmee and St. Cloud and over there, like they are part of Orlando. Like even though
I understand that, but
yeah, no, I'm just saying like that's the thing is, even though they may not geographically fall under Orlando, it's a one thing I've learned in the last 3 years. It's a really strong community, regardless of where you might lie in the theme park areas. Yeah. Just everybody, and especially you've seen it this week. It's a tight knit group.
Yeah, but people coming together. It's a great sight, and we just need to keep up the spirit. One thing we've learned over the years is that this spirit can go away if we let it. And we just need to not allow that to happen.
Yeah. Obviously, I lived in New York during 9/11, and that was interesting and in a very similar feel where you went out. I went out the next day, and it just felt like a whole different world. And I kind of relived that a bit when we went to the movies on Sunday. When we went out to Disney Springs, there was kind of this eerie feeling. But it's important to get back out there, and you got to keep going on, and that's what we're gonna do. So anyway, all that being said, obviously our prayers are with everybody affected by the shootings over the weekend, and obviously the family of the alligator incident at Walt Disney World. But there are a lot of things to talk about. Let's not waste any time. So we have
we have a guest today. His name is Mike. He was on the show a couple months back.
Our first episode.
Yeah, was it our first? It was our first episode of WDW News Tonight, and Mike is the host of a radio show, Arms Room Radio, and he's coming to us tonight. Security expert, knows a lot about this stuff, knows a lot about what's been going on here. And Mike, the first thing I really want to ask you is when you came on last year, you told us honestly, watch out for Disney Springs, and so I would assume that it's no surprise to you that they're looking into the nightclub shooter as scouting out the Disney Springs area.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It's great to be back. It's horrible circumstances, but great to be back with you guys. So far, it looks like the intel that they're finding was that he'd gone to Disney Springs, Disney parks, and taken a look there at the targets, and then the Disney parks themselves. He'd made the decision that it was too hard to target. We talked about the metal detectors and the way they do screening there, and he decided that was not the way to go. For whatever reason, he didn't choose Disney Springs, and we'll probably never know why.
Yeah. So would it be fair to say then that the security measures that Disney either had in place or have been putting in place is of comfort to people?
Yeah, it could be of a comfort, but you don't want to get too complacent either. This was clearly he made a decision. Now we don't know if he made a decision based upon what type of club he ended up at. Maybe that was what tipped the scales for him, or whether it was the security apparatus that he saw out there at Disney Springs. We know for sure the parks security and the gated parks that he was turned off from that. Whether or not the Springs turned him away. Like I said, we may never know that.
Now, what was funny was I had been talking to Nick the week before the shooting about bringing you on, Mike, because I had noticed over the holiday week and weekend, the end of last month, they had been switching up security procedures quite a bit. They had actually started not randomly screening, but there were long periods of the day where they would do continuous screening of guests through the metal detectors. And there wasn't really a rhyme or reason given. People figured because it was the holiday week. And is that really it? Is there a reason, do you think? Why would they start suddenly, you think, doing that?
A couple of reasons why that probably happened. Well, the first is, and in the security world, when you're trying to deter bad guys, the motto is to be predictably unpredictable. Do not let them see you have a pattern whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Once they see that you have a pattern and they identify what it is, they can exploit the weakness in your security apparatus. So that's probably just one of those things that they were doing. They were just changing it up, making it different, and again, being predictably unpredictable. That's the only thing in the constant is that they change. Now, whether or not that was the reason he turned away, we don't know. Now, another reason they may have changed what they were doing is there was some intelligence. There was some activity. I hate to say, the chatter, for the security term, but there were Al Jazeera television. There was some Amans. There was a speaker here in Orlando the week before, and they talked about, to make the infidels pay, and that may have stirred Disney because Disney has an incredible intelligence and gathering apparatus there to keep their eye on these type of things.
And I was really amazed. So one of the things that came out in all of this was that Disney had informed the FBI that they felt this man was suspicious when he was scouting Disney Springs, and I was astounded by that.
Yeah, listen, the one thing that Disney has, and we all know this, they have that pretty much unlimited financial resource. So they can do things that even our government can't do because they have that money. They also don't have restrictions on them of Fourth Amendment rights that they have to pay attention to when talking to people or when identifying people. Mm-hmm. You're entering a private facility, they're not the police. Mm-hmm. So they get to look at you and scan you and do things that the government normally couldn't do.
So this seems like Disney has the security in place where they're actually, they notice repeat visits by possibly suspicious people. Is that, and they keep records on these things?
They do, and the people that are there are professionals. I know a couple of them, I know many of them, and they're really good at what they do. Fortunately for us, this guy, this bad guy, and I'm not going to call him by name. I'm going to call him the suspect, terrorist, the bad guy. I'm not going to dignify him by calling him by his name. this terrorist went there, and he went back repeatedly to do his own pre-surveillance, his own intelligence collection of his battlefield. And while he was there, they made note of him. This guy is looking out of the ordinary. Remember when we talked last time, it was if you choose to go somewhere and you choose to be a concealed weapon holder, to blend in, to not identify yourself from somebody else. Don't touch the gun, don't move around, stand in the back, stand in the corners. You're going to do certain things to keep your security posture, but you don't want to give that away. You don't want to be the guy in there wearing the 550 cord bracelet and the combat boots. You want to look like you blend in. Yeah. This guy did, and that's what Disney grabbed on him.
Yeah, that's impressive because I think honestly within the theme park community, and obviously we're no means experts, but many of us think we're know-it-alls. Sometimes Disney security doesn't seem to come across as knowing what they're doing. Now, obviously, it is a large corporation, and we would hope that they do. But sometimes, and I've had weird encounters where I was, one comes to mind I want to bring up, where I will actively take construction photos. I'm standing in the middle of a guest pathway, just taking pictures of the Avatar construction in Animal Kingdom. And the security cast member comes over, and I tell him immediately what I'm never trying to cause problems. I tell him immediately what I'm doing. And because I don't want any problems. He has a job to do, and he needs to make sure he knows what I'm doing. He decided I look suspicious, so I'm willing to cooperate, of course. And I told him I was taking photos, and he said, "I'm glad you're taking photos. Video isn't allowed," which I thought was a weird thing. There are, we live in a time when there's a lot of very dangerous stuff going on. If I'm cooperating you and telling you what I'm doing, taking pictures of theme park construction, not even an area where guests are, there's no threat to people there. There's no one in there. Am I really the biggest problem in this day and age? Obviously we have a lot of real security issues. So there are incidents like that a lot of theme park fans, I think, have experienced, where you might feel like Disney security isn't doing their job. But I think it's been refreshing, at least this week, to hear that they already knew this guy was suspicious, and they may have scared him off, and so. But again, to the average theme park person, maybe they come across as sometimes not knowing what they're doing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, listen, the average security cast member, starts that job just like they start any other job at that age. These are guys that, and you've been down there and seen, these are guys that are either retired 20 years cops, and they want something to do, they don't want to stay home anymore, so they work the parks so they get the free passes. Yeah. And Disney gets to exploit their knowledge and experience. Or they're the 19-year-old person, the 21-year-old person starting that first job. They're becoming a security guard, and Disney security guards start off the same way as every other security guard in the state of Florida. They get their 24 hours training. Disney, I think, bumps it up to the 40 hours still, and then they get their little orientation around the park, and then that's it. That's it. For we're paying you $10, $12 an hour. We're not going to invest $500,000 into your training. Yeah. The one thing that they have, Disney security guards have, over your average security guard working for ABC Security Company, and I apologize if that's a real security company name. That's working the construction zone in the middle of the night, is the infrastructure above them, the intelligence apparatus above them. They have all of their leaders are coming from high-level positions in the government, or they've worked their way up in the private security field as executives, and you just don't have that on the regular private security side. So these guys will mature and advance quickly in security, but they all start off at the same place.
Okay. Now, I just want to throw this out there. If any of our listeners tonight have any questions on security, have anything that you want to talk about, please give us a call. You could call us at 407-774-8255. That's 407-774-8255. You can also get in our chat at listen.wdwnt.com, and in the chat session there, you could type up some questions. Hopefully, Tom or Jason catch those if those come through there as well. You could even tweet us at WDWNT. So, Mike, we joke a little bit about what Tom was talking about. We joke that somewhere Disney probably has this large file on Tom, because he's there multiple times a week, walking around taking pictures of absolutely nothing, and
in long pants in the summer. Yeah. Which I refuse. I know they're going to screen me, but I refuse. I like my long pants, and I I'm not a jerk when they pull me all the time.
And that's it. That's all you have to do is just be cooperative, be understanding. They have a job to do. You just tell them what you're doing, and again, they want you to have the greatest experience on earth. So, it shouldn't be a bad experience.
Now, can you remind us, for people that maybe didn't catch you the last time you were on, can you remind us a little bit why you had? I know the construction actually calmed down a bit since you were last on, but what are some of your concerns about Disney Springs?
Okay, the difference being, again, at the gated parks, your other 4 facilities there, those have infrastructure in place. There's a gate that goes around them. The park is secure. You have the metal detectors up front. You have the fixed posts for your security guards. This is something that a bad guy will look at and go, okay, I'm not going to try and sneak something in. I'm not going to try and cause a problem here. There's too much security in place. Disney Springs is open. You park in the parking garage, which is still right there. Parking garages are not the most secure places in the world. People, they can have cameras in them and watching them, but it's like being in a closet. When you're in a parking garage, you could come out of the parking garage, you walk right into Disney Springs. There's no like you have at the main parks where you have your long walk up to the park. You're under surveillance. They're screening you. They're taking a look at you. They're watching you. At Disney Springs, park in the garage, get out, walk, go inside, start bouncing in clubs. There's nobody that screens you for, for weapons. They're not going through your bags like they do at the other parks.
True. They do have, as far as the parking garages, they do have a person so they funnel everyone in the parking garages out 2 entrances into Springs. There is a security guard that stands there and sort of looks over everyone that comes through, at least. Now, it's not a full screening like at the other parks, but there is someone there looking over everybody.
Oh, there is. Listen, there is definitely a good security presence at Disney Springs. For an open facility, it's secured as well as it can be. But there's still that opportunity for the bad guy to decide, I'm going in here. And again, the name Disney is the target.
Yeah. It
doesn't matter when they hear this news in Bulgaria. They don't hear Disney Springs. They don't hear Magic Kingdom. They hear Disney.
Yeah.
So that's the target. If they can get in there and have one of these terrorist events, then the terrorism succeeds again, and we all live in fear.
So if you're in charge, do you introduce metal detectors at Disney Springs?
I think they're doing a good job. It's just when you stand them next to each other and you do a threat analysis.
Yeah.
This is the one facility on Disney that has the higher threat.
But now that the public knows, it's been in a lot of major news outlets that downtown Disney or Disney Springs, this guy looked there. Is the pressure on Disney to increase a visible presence, regardless of how good the operation is? And I don't doubt that now, as we speak right now, I think it's probably as strong, if not stronger, than the other parks, maybe as far as what you can't see. But is the pressure on them to visibly increase that, maybe as a deterrent, and also to just make everyone going there feel better?
Yeah, absolutely, and for a couple of reasons. One, just like you said, they want people to feel more secure. So they'll put more visible security out there, the uniformed security cast member. They'll put more law enforcement out there, standing outside, the vehicles parked outside. The other reason is, and I know we talked about this last time, is if this was true terrorism, if this was terrorism with that terrorist linked overseas to ISIS, ISIL, Taliban, whatever connection you want to make, or the terrorists like secondary, they like tertiary. They want for everybody to feel secure. Remember what happened in Paris. One incident occurred, and then they got security moving and up and running in that spot and emergency response, and then they attacked them. And then they went to another facility and attacked there. The same thing happened in Belgium. It doesn't say this has to be within 1 hour, 1 week, or 1 month. But you've got people on edge here. This is the time to watch for the secondary activity.
So what should I do if I go to Disney Springs? What can I do to help protect myself and kind of look around, and what am I looking for?
Well, first off, if you do have a concealed weapon license, take it to Disney Springs. I'm just going to say stay concealed. It's legal there until Disney discovers you have a firearm, and then they ask you to leave, because guess what? It's an open facility. It's open to the public, so it's just like walking into the grocery store. The most that can happen to you is you are asked to leave. Now, at the parks, remember, that's different because there's signs and it's gated and you have to pass through an access control facility. So at that point, you're armed trespassing as opposed to just being asked to leave because you had your firearm. So if you can protect yourself, protect yourself. I'm sure we'll get to, at some point we'll talk about gun-free zones, and this is a gun-free zone, and that's where the majority of mass shootings. That's where a large majority of shootings have happened recently. Keep your head on a swivel, Nick. Go there, look around, be alert, be alive. You want to the things we talked about. Don't get caught in the crowd. Move aside. Don't go to the target areas. Don't make yourself a victim. Walk around, keep your eyes up, keep your head moving back and forth. Look for those things that are out of the ordinary. Look for the guy that's well, I don't want to point you out, Tom, but look for the guy that's wearing long pants and it's 100 degrees outside. Look for the guy that's got a jacket on and it's 100 degrees outside. The guy that's got a big heavy backpack on, but you never see him go into it or put anything into it, and he's just standing there watching the crowd.
Have you seen me before? Because it's starting to sound a lot like me, actually.
And that's why I'm not trying to point you out, but these are the things. You can look and you can see, you're having a good time. The look on your face is, I can't believe I'm here. This is wonderful. As opposed to your brow is furrowed and there's sweat dripping from your face. It doesn't matter what the temperature is. You're sweating because you know what you're about to do, and the stress is built so high.
My magic band and character T-shirt and all that probably helped me out a little bit too.
Yep. So you just want to stay alert. You just want to continue to look and look for things out of the ordinary. If you see something, say something. I'd move at the same time. Don't just say it out loud. I'd move away from the truck at the same time. But you definitely want to stay alert.
Yeah.
Understandable. Again, if anyone has questions, because we're rapidly, running out of time here, but what is the number, Nick, is 407-774-8255. If anyone has any questions or comments, please call in. We have experts on to help you out. So.
You don't by any chance know anything about gators, do you?
Oh, geez.
Mike?
Well, yeah. You know what? How horrible is this?
Yeah.
I was talking to some friends, relatives up in New York this morning, and said, I'm afraid to leave the house. I don't know what kind of horrific freak show accident, or incident's going to go next.
Right.
That's true. It has been a bad week.
But,
I never thought I'd said it. I told them, I said, I can't wait to leave Orlando and get to the safety of New York. Words I never thought I'd hear myself say.
Yeah, I'm going to go home where it's safe, the Bronx.
Exactly.
That's what's
exactly
going to
right.
happen.
I do want to ask you this. I know this is a little off the Disney path, but I'm just very interested. You do own a gun shop here in Orlando. Have you seen an increase in people coming in there after these attacks?
Yeah, there's definitely been an increase, and you're seeing it all over Orlando and Florida and nationwide. One of the things I think we've seen unique in Orlando, though, is there's a lot of women coming in and buying handguns right now. The women are, they're reactionary. They've made an educated decision. I'm not going to be that victim. Let me go get this and start my training to become a concealed carry holder. The men we're seeing are coming in saying, I'm not letting somebody take away an assault weapon, which is a misnomer, but I'm not going to let you take away, the AR-15 style rifle. So they're buying those.
Can you since you kind of opened the door there, can you bring that up, because there's been a lot in the media about the style of weapons that the shooter was using, and there's stuff thrown on about the letters AR and assault rifles and automatic, and can you explain to us a little crash course on that?
Sure, without a doubt, with 100% certainty, the AR in AR-15 stands for Armalite rifle. The creator of the AR-15 actually was creating it for the military, but they had the civilian designation. They filed for the patent, Armalite rifle number 15. It became AR-15. It's not assault rifle. It's not automatic rifle. It's not America's rifle. It stands for Armalite rifle 15. Now, our AR-15 over the years has become the widely accepted generic term for the civilian version of the M16 or the M4 rifle. Those are the rifles the soldiers carry into battle every day. The difference between the two, one is very slight, the military barrel is about 1.5 inches shorter, because the ATF at some point decided if you had a 14.5-inch barrel, you'd be a killer as opposed to a 16-inch barrel. So they made you have the 16-inch barrel. The other big difference is one is an automatic weapon. The military uses automatic weapons. By automatic, I mean I pull the trigger and hold it down. So I pull the trigger once, and it shoots bullets either until I take my finger off the trigger or it runs out of ammunition. On the civilian version, I pull the trigger once, hold it down, only one bullet's coming out. I've got to lift my finger and bring my finger back down. This is no different than, Grandpa's Browning shotgun or your dad's hunting rifle. Pull the trigger once, one bullet comes out. They just look similar, and so they get the bad rap. They're as far as assault goes, and this is something that the anti-gun establishment came up with prior to the assault weapon ban. Assault is an action word. A rifle cannot commit an action on its own. It takes an evil person. It takes a person, with intent to use it for harm. Most people use it for hunting, for competition, for shooting, for self-defense, as guaranteed by the Second Amendment. It's no more an assault weapon than cars are assault vehicles because people drive them when they're intoxicated.
Now, before we get too political, I want to, because unfortunately, unlike the other shows here, we are,
Well, honestly, that was a big thing coming up today.
No, I understand that. We have some people in the chat, so I do want to talk about one thing in the chat. Someone asked what this has to do with Disney. I want to comment. Again, as I said earlier, I lived in New York before and after 9/11, and the Manhattan I visited before 9/11 was very different from the Manhattan after 9/11. Everything in Manhattan, pretty much almost top to bottom, had metal detectors, heavier security. Police presence everywhere in the city. The Manhattan of fall 2001 is a very different one from any time before that. With Walt Disney World, it is insane to not think it will not be a different place come tomorrow than it was last week. There's a public knowledge of a person who scoped Walt Disney World as a target. I think it's the same as if you look at Walt Disney World before 9/11 and after. It is a different place. We cover Walt Disney World. We cover news about Walt Disney World. This is certainly what we are talking about this week as far as Walt Disney World is concerned. We're not furthering any political agenda. This is, I think, a useful conversation for people on either part of any political aisle. You are people listening, I assume, who visit Disney World. It's going to be different next time you come. I can almost assure you. So...
Yeah, no, great.
I just want to make sure we make that clear. I don't want anyone to feel like we're picking sides or anything. We're just trying to have a very informative, helpful conversation.
And I mean, it hit me the second I heard the reports that he scoped out Disney Springs, and I was like,
yeah, and I mean that's
seriously?
when it hit home. I mean that's not only is that a place I visit, that's a place I'm at 2 to 3 times a week.
Well, I just meant that's exactly what Mike kind of told us.
Yeah.
When he came on last time. So I mean, it's real.
I mean, that's home. That's a place I spend 2 to 3 evenings a week and several hours. It's where I go to dinner. It's where I hang out with my friends. And somebody thought about trying to harm a tremendous amount of people there, which could have included myself or probably likely anyone listening to this show. This is a big deal right now. This is more of a big deal, this conversation now, than it was when we did the first episode, where Walt Disney World, it wasn't even clearly, at least publicly marked as a target, as opposed to now where it has been and the public knows, and it's going to affect the number of people that visit. It's going to affect how people visit. This is a big deal, folks.
All right. Any other questions out there?
Nick, let me jump in here. I've got a question.
Not that I could see. Those were the only comments.
All right. Well, Mike, we really appreciate your time as always.
No problem, guys. And listen, and I don't want to forward a political agenda, but I'll just tell you this. When you see that sign that says gun-free zone, just know that the bad guy sees it also.
Yep.
It's good to know.
All right. Well,
Thank
Mike,
you so much,
we'll talk to you
Mike.
again soon.
All right, Chris. Have a good night.
Good night.
You too. All right. Well, I think that's a good place for a quick commercial break.
Yeah, we'll take a little break here on WDW News Tonight. When we return, we'll talk about the other news that has been happening within the past 24 hours here around Orlando. The unfortunate.
I promise we'll have fun later, guys.
Gator.
I just want to make that clear later in the show.
Yeah,
we're gonna have some fun, but I think there's a little more we obviously have to talk about.
Well, I think it is the gator attack at the Grand Floridian, and just a very unfortunate situation, but it does have some possible ramifications. We're gonna go into that when we return. But as Tom said, stay tuned. Second hour tonight. We'll have some fun. We'll have
raise some money for a fantastic cause.
Exactly. Before we return, definitely visit. Was it oneorlando.org?
I'm going to put it up right now. There it is. Oneorlando.org.
Okay.
Please donate.
All right.
Hi, I'm Avi Golhar, the host of Real Estate Deal Talk radio show heard all over the country. Now, I'm not an HGTV star or someone who flips houses for TV. I'm an authentic investor who lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and invests in Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and around the country. I make money in real estate many different ways, and I love to help others do the same. I have a philosophy that if you help people get where they want to go, then you'll end up there too. There are many ways to connect with me, but one of the most effective ways is to do so through Facebook. I'm actively involved in the investing community, and I would be happy to connect with you and answer your questions. Please connect with me on Facebook by going to Facebook and typing in Real Estate Deal Talk. Again, that's Real Estate Deal Talk, and I'll be happy to answer your questions there. Also, I have a free Investors mini-series I'd be happy to share for free, again, on Facebook. See you there. Can't wait to answer your questions.
This is a special invitation for business owners or human resources managers representing companies of 50 or more employees. The retirement planning strategists at Lucia Capital Group will travel to your city and present a customized private retirement planning seminar for your employees. Rick Plum and Terry Keys have spoken to thousands of individuals about planning for retirement and addressed their concerns about outliving their money, stock market volatility, managing taxes, company-sponsored retirement benefit plans, and more. Now they're available to speak to your organization. This is a convenient way for your employees to get their retirement questions answered and learn how a plan can be designed to integrate all of their retirement resources. Call Lucia Capital Group to schedule a private retirement planning meeting. Call 800-644-1150. That's 800-644-1150. Rick Plum and Terry Keys are registered representatives of and offer securities through Lucia Securities LLC, a registered broker-dealer member SIPC. Lucia Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Lucia Capital Group, a registered investment advisor. All investments are subject to risk, including loss of principal.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or received legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. Call National Foreclosure Defense right now at 800-989-1838, 800-989-1838. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call right now. 800-989-1838, 800-989-1838. Call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now. 800-989-1838.
Through time and space, together we race to brave new worlds across the universe.
Welcome back to WDW News Tonight. A quick thing I want to say, because there's someone in the chat making a stir, and wouldn't be Tom Corless if he didn't respond to it. So, Nick asked questions that maybe took us a little off track, but Nick also works at a political radio station all day, so I'm sure Nick had legitimate questions that he wanted to ask after sitting here all day and listening to political conversation. And I don't think your questions were wrong, and certainly Mike was not here to promote his own agenda. No. We invited Mike as a guest, and I think Mike was extremely helpful regardless of, our guests are invited to believe in what they believe in, and we personally don't take a stance, but we invite them as guests because we believe they're going to contribute something to the show.
Well, I had an expert on this and I've been, you hear this fight over these letters and these terms of these guns all day. And in fact, today during one of the press conferences, they were asking, what kind of guns did this person have, and there was a big frenzy. So, I wanted to clarify that for myself, and I'm sure a lot of you had that question too. So I wanted to know.
But anyway, that's the last I'm going to say about that, but I figured everyone in the chat expected me to respond, and true Tom Corless fashion, I would.
No, yes, he wasn't going to shamelessly plug anything.
No, Mike is really wonderful, and if I felt that way, I wouldn't have guests back. I think everybody learned from See You Relate that if I didn't like someone, they never got invited back. That's how I work. I don't pull any punches with anyone. I think Mike, unless asked, would not throw his agenda in on anybody,
Right.
and I respect the amount of time he has spent in the industry, his expertise on weaponry. He is a wonderful, wonderful guest, and we will surely have him back when need be. Hopefully, the circumstances would not be what they were this week, but I appreciate Mike's time. But anyway,
so, we have the unfortunate incident that happened at the Grand Floridian with the gator attack. Now, Tom, can you bring people up to date on what we know now? I know you have the story.
I'm going to quickly run through the story. I don't have it in front of me, but I think I've written enough about it.
Yeah.
So roughly between 9 and 9:30 last night, it was long after they had the movie time on the beach, which those of you who've ever stayed at a Disney resort know they do this at the resorts. There's movies they show on the big inflatable screen thing on the beach. It was sometime after that. It wasn't the beach wasn't really busy, nor that little section of beach usually isn't at the Grand Floridian. But people overheard splashing, and what apparently had happened was a 2-year-old boy had been dragged into the water by an alligator. The father of the boy tried to free the boy and was unsuccessful. He walked away with a few scratches on his arm, and a large search ensued, which was very hard in the evening because it's real dark. This isn't New York City. Seven Seas Lagoon, despite everything around it, is just real dark Florida swamp. And so they continued the search into today, and they were determined to not stop until they found the boy. They did find several alligators, in fact 5, which were euthanized and examined, and there was no remains found. They did eventually find the boy later. The body was intact. There were bite marks, apparently. All of that was not clear for a long time. There were certainly people arguing, because there had been, in fact, in this state and in this city, there had been cases where parents had claimed one thing had happened and it was actually another thing. But this is all checked out at this point. So it was actually a gator attack at Walt Disney World at the beach of the Grand Floridian. The boy's body has been found. It's a very freak thing, as we learned. So Nick, in the process today, obviously, just as we had Mike on to talk about the safety of Walt Disney World in regards to guns.
Yeah.
In regards to gators, we wanted to have an expert come on and actually talk about, these occurrences, how they happen, things of that sort. Unfortunately, obviously, they said, because they were involved in the investigation, they were very busy.
Well, I contacted the Florida Wildlife Commission. That was the first place to start. They were very busy, especially a show on the slate at night. They've been working all day.
Yeah.
But they did send us over some alligator incident fact sheets, which we in reading these, you're right. It is extremely rare about bites. In fact, they say Florida averages about 7 unprovoked bites.
7?
Yes.
I know, I really shouldn't.
Unprovoked bites per year that are serious enough to require special medical treatment. It's actually increasing about 3% each year. So it's
unbelievable how few fatal alligator deaths there actually are. It's not a common thing,
right?
At all. Most years it is 0.
Yes.
Now the weird thing is, years where there's at least 1, usually there's more than 1. It's weird how they group like that.
Yeah, especially 2003 to 2007.
It's very odd, but most years it's not a thing that even happens. No one dies from alligator.
And even one's categorized major is usually in the single digits. 5, 6, 9, 8. Couple of years it went up to over. So it is a very, very rare occurrence.
Yeah. So this is what was the exact number? It's 1 in. Someone said it was like 1 in 250 million.
1 in 2.4 million in the state of Florida.
I'm blowing it way out of
proportion.
Yeah. So it's pretty astronomical. This isn't a normal thing. It is indeed absolutely a freak accident.
I just want to qualify that number just so I put out the right information. For some reason, it qualifies it as a Florida resident being injured by an unprovoked alligator incident in Florida is roughly 1 in 2.4 million.
Not a person in Florida beating a gator with a stick that they found.
Well, yeah.
Is basically what they're saying.
Well, there's two things there. The first part is Florida resident too, though. That's an interesting qualifier. I don't know, how much non-Florida residents would add to these numbers.
I saw on like CNN or something today, 1 in 250 million, like worldwide.
Worldwide, very well.
Which is what I believe the number. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is not something that happens every day or even often. It's very, very rare. And it's a freak thing, and it just so happened that it happened at Walt Disney World, which, because they conserve so much of the outlying land around the parks, is still very much filled with wildlife. There are turkeys and vultures and deer and armadillos, and all these things are in there. This is a forest. This is swampland. This is, still very much unsettled here, which, coming from New York, typically people wouldn't understand. That being said, I had a house upstate, and you understand living in upstate New York that there are bears, and there are going to be bears, and you have to watch out for bears. And living in Florida, you understand that there are alligators and snakes, and you have to watch out for those things. That's part of where you live. And that being said, we are a tourist destination, so being a tourist, you may not be very well aware of that. And that's what's going to be scary for people, is that they're not from here, and it's a scary thought that there are animals that could hurt you and live outside your door.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of take it for granted, but I mean,
but again, even as someone who lives here, it is so rare. It doesn't happen. Like, this is a really unfortunate, terrible accident. And that's really all there is to it, unfortunately.
Well, it is. The Disney does have signs that tell you not to go in the water.
Yeah, so number one, there are signs to not go in the water. It's not like it's not preventable. And I guess I've read at this point that the boy was not in the water. So really, no one was doing anything terribly wrong other than the fact that they were sitting alone on the Grand Floridian beach after dark with a 2-year-old, which, again, probably isn't necessarily an awful thing.
So the latest we have is the alligator probably came up onto the land and
that's what it sounds like.
Wow.
I don't have that finalized or anything official on that.
Yeah.
The last thing I read, though, they were making it sound like he wasn't, in fact, in the water at that point.
Yeah.
Jason, I think, wants to have his mic turned on. Jason, what's going on?
So, couple things. First is that, so they originally said that he was like in about 1 foot of water.
Well, when they found the...
No, that's what the original report was.
Oh, is it?
Right.
I thought people were getting that confused.
No, the original report was that he was in the water.
That makes more sense.
Which is probably likely. I mean, the alligator really couldn't see you if you're not in the water because they don't have great eyesight.
That's true. And on any given night, I mean, I go sit on the Poly Beach a fair amount.
Yeah.
At any given night, I see people step in, and I always make some snide comment about the brain eating amoeba and why people don't read signs.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, coming. So there's a couple different issues here, and I wanted to sort of mention this before we get too far into the discussion. One is the issue of alligators and wildlife and what people should expect at Walt Disney World and, how they let their guard down and things like that. And that's one thing, inherent dangers in, in your surroundings. And like you said, if I go on vacation in upstate New York, I should kind of know that there might be bears and I shouldn't go outside at night with stakes wrapped around my neck. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. People think that Disney World is, this completely controlled environment, and they let their guard down. And I think that's what happened here. I mean, there are no swimming signs.
I mean, it's wetlands. I mean, it is a theme park resort that was built on wetlands. And for the most part, most of Orlando, while it has built up quite a bit in the last 15 to 20 years, is mostly like that.
Well, I think people hear that it was a man-made lagoon, and that...
Yeah.
And they think it's like this little lake or something. I mean, it's enormous.
And it's connected with canals.
It's connected to Bay Lake, which existed before any.
Right.
Yeah.
Bay Lake was a real lake. So, I think there are signs that are posted that says no swimming.
Yeah.
We've talked before too about, and like you said, Tom, you see people go in the water at night.
Yeah, all the time.
We've talked before about this entitlement mentality where people think that the signs don't apply to them.
They think it's just Disney trying to stay out of a lawsuit.
Right. Well, and to some extent they are. I mean, there is brainy eating amoeba in there too.
But also, Disney will feel really bad if something happens to you. I'm sure Disney.
Oh, I'm sure they feel really
these
bad.
kind of events. These are not good for anyone involved.
And that's the thing, is people think it's just because Disney doesn't want a lawsuit or because Disney doesn't want people complaining. What it actually is Disney doesn't want bad things to happen to you. That's why they put up the signs. We wish you would follow the signs, because it's not only bad for you if bad things happen to you, but it's bad for Disney.
Yeah.
And it's bad for every other Disney guest who has to deal with after effects like, security lines and metal detectors and stuff. I mean, any sort of incident is going to have repercussions, and it's going to affect everyone else too. So, whatever Disney does with beaches in the future is going to affect every guest at Walt Disney World that stays at a resort that has beaches.
Well, since you've started heading in that direction, I want to bring in the rest.
Well, can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
I do want to say that we still, I mean, I can't imagine what the family is actually going through.
It's terrible
right now,
and
it's
your 2-year-old son.
I'm not putting any blame on them. But,
no, you
I mean,
can't.
just...
I mean, in fairness, I think there are a lot of parents who probably would follow the signage, and
that's
again, you can't. It's still a freak, horrible thing that happened, and we're not trying to point blame on anybody.
And that's what I wanted to mention that right at the beginning too, because I think that's there's huge arguments on the internet and on Twitter and stuff about this. I think we need to separate the incident and the facts surrounding the incident and things like that from whether the parents could have or should have done something differently than they did, and where to put blame. Because in an instance like this, blame is retrospective. It's not going to help anyone to blame people. So Jen just wrote in the chat.
Yeah, she wrote exactly the point. The parents are thinking of a million things they could have done.
The parents are
They certainly don't need this bunch of theme park idiots.
Right. So yeah, certainly they didn't pay attention to the signs. They probably should have. They should have been closer to their kid, kept a better eye on their kid. All those things are fine. It's true. I don't think the parents are going to argue. I mean, I don't think the parents are going to say, "Oh yeah, we didn't see the sign, or we ignored the sign."
The reason we need to talk about the sign a lot is because things beginning tomorrow are going to clearly be very different than they are today or have been for the last 45 years. Obviously, until 1997, you could swim in there, and then someone woke up and realized that was a really, really terrible idea. And so that's why I want to bring everybody in. We had David Smith there. We got Justin Heyman. Do we have Marcy? Is Marcy with us?
Yep, I don't think she's on video, though.
Oh, okay.
Marcy?
Hello.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi.
So the big issue now going forward at Disney World is they obviously had the beaches closed today and watercraft closed today, although that will return, we assume. The beaches were closed today for the investigation. My fear is the beaches will not reopen. This is most likely the end of that stretch of beaches from the Polynesian to the Grand Floridian. That stretch of beaches from the Polynesian to the Grand Floridian that have been enjoyed by guests for the last 45 years. This is probably the end of those, right? Or am I being crazy?
First of all, it's a damn shame that is the reaction when this is one thing that's happened in 45 years. Because,
well, I mean, look at the monorail accident. I mean, one person made a really bad mistake, and no one has been able to ride in the front of a monorail. The operations of them have been horrible since because of installed safety measures.
Exactly.
And all because it really was a freak thing that if someone was doing their job could have been avoided.
And that's a damn shame too.
Yeah.
But the monorails are coming. The monorails have a technological solution in development to prevent that sort of accident. And what I think is possible is that there's a technological solution, or an engineering solution, really more accurately in this case, an engineering solution to this problem.
Wave machine.
Well, no, that's a solution in search
I
of
was
a
waiting for
problem.
some fanboy to be like, turn on the wave machine.
The waves.
But I mean, so
not
one of
to-
the reasons that I say it would be a real shame to lose the beaches is, and you can see the background that I have behind my head. If I move my head over, this was this was my wedding day at the wedding pavilion.
Oh, that's you.
That's
Yeah,
me.
that's him.
Yes.
He had more hair.
Can I do that again and Nick play some sort of magical sound effect as you?
I wish I knew that was coming.
So this is a I have this picture poster size on my wall at home because I love this picture. It would be a shame to not be able to have opportunities like this anymore because they built a big wall or ugly fence. And so what I want to say is that maybe there's a solution like putting some sort of deterrent in the water that's not readily visible or something. I mean, alligators are pretty smart animals, so I don't know. But I think there may be some solution to this problem other than build a big ugly fence around the water on the beach, or not let you on the beach at all, which would be actually even worse.
Yeah, I think it's coming though.
But there's certainly things that could maybe be done that would be, not as big of an impact on the guest. And the other thing I want to say...
Hold on, before you go on with that, I want to get a quick take from everybody else.
Go ahead.
So let me just jump in here for a second, because I was thinking about this afternoon, and I was talking with my wife about it a bit. And there's some complications, I think, from a liability perspective here that we need to consider, which
Why
is...
does everybody have a beach behind them? Can I have...
That's been here. This is my new home studio.
That's been there, but Justin has never been here, so we've never seen it before.
2 weeks in a row.
All right.
Good.
I'm sorry. I interrupted. I'm sorry. Please.
3 shows. I missed 3 shows. Sorry. So here's my thoughts on this. The initial, I believe, knee-jerk reaction, I think Tom's right, is that the beaches will be closed for a period of time. But there's at least 2 recent constructions that I think complicate this. One is the Poly bungalow villas. So you have to enter via the beach, and so well,
there's
a boardwalk kind of thing.
Boardwalk, but
sidewalks connect to the wood bridges.
You don't have to walk in the sand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to walk across
in and
the
around
beach.
the beach.
My thought would be the fences will go up to the sidewalk. So there's the pool. Then there's a sidewalk right against the pool towards the water. My idea fences would literally be placed against the sidewalk. The sidewalk would be the end.
But why wouldn't they be placed against the water? Like, why wouldn't you put the fence 3 feet from the water line as opposed to 3 feet from the sidewalk and restrict the beach to people?
It'd probably be harder to upkeep it on the water to begin.
Well, it might be.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to jump the fence to go on the beach?
That's
right.
An interesting point.
There's no easy solution to this, but I don't know.
There's a sign that says no swimming. So if there's a fence and its sign says beach closed, people are going to ignore it and jump over the fence.
A fence is a much bigger deal than a sign.
Landmines.
Oh Jesus!
I think that's what happened at Volcano Bay.
So there's a couple other things though too, right? So we have the construction at Wilderness Lodge. We have watercraft that conceivably, I think daytime watercraft sports are probably the least part of this argument. But we also have every other little retention basin, pond.
Yeah.
puddle
and there was
around
an
property.
alligator. There was an alligator that lived at the Beach Club Villas for a few years.
Hold on, guys. We're going to continue this conversation when we get back. Unfortunately, we do have to take our hard break right now, but we'll go over time. We'll come back and we will talk more. There's certainly a lot more to discuss in regards to this. So we'll be right back. Don't forget to donate at oneorlando.org. If you love the city of Orlando, if you love Disney World, please help out. oneorlando.org.
Celebrating 50 years as Apopka's hometown station. 1520 WBZW. Apopka, Orlando. Community events, financial news, weather, traffic, and more.
A service of Salem Media Group.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. A Democratic senator launches a filibuster to force a vote on gun control legislation.
Senator Chris Murphy comes from Connecticut, site of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings in Newtown.
I've had enough.
Speaking 3 days after 49 people were killed in the Orlando nightclub shootings, Murphy says Congress has done nothing to stop gun violence.
90% of the American public wants us to act.
So Murphy wants to prohibit the sale of guns to people on the terrorist watch list. Republican Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania says let's do it, but with this caveat.
We also need to have a meaningful mechanism for people to challenge their status of being on that list.
It's been nearly a decade since Congress made any significant changes to federal gun laws. Linda Kenyon, Capitol Hill.
The FBI is analyzing cell phone data to try to piece together the activities of Omar Mateen in the hours and days before Sunday's massacre at a homosexual nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Agents are also interviewing people who had any dealings with him. Authorities are also trying to determine what role Mateen's wife, a Palestinian-American, may have played. An official who was briefed on the case says authorities believe 30-year-old U.S.-born Noor Salman knew ahead of time about the attack carried out by her husband. A move for unity tonight in St. Louis as the Southern Baptist Convention elected a new president. A virtual tie between two candidates for president of the convention has been resolved, with one stepping aside to endorse the other. North Carolina pastor J.D. Greer says he's withdrawing his candidacy for the sake of Southern Baptist unity.
I move, Mr. President, that we elect Steve Gaines by acclamation as the new president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Greer says Southern Baptist unity was too important for its leader to be chosen by such a narrow margin. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 35 points to 17,640. The Nasdaq dropped 9. The S&P lower by 4. Oil at $47.59 a barrel. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or your 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. But with the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can see them anytime. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. You can trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-5882 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call Augusta today, toll-free 1-855-222-5882. That's 1-855-222-5882. Or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
Caught me tweeting. Welcome back to WDW News Tonight. We are live, of course, on our radio home, AM 1520 WBZW. We're also live at listen.wdwnt.com. Quick note, there is a live chat at listen.wdwnt.com. We realize there are people apparently watching us out on just YouTube. We didn't know that was a thing. But if you want to be part of the chat, it's over there at listen.wdwnt.com. Same for those of you listening on the radio. Worth mentioning. Live chat, a lot going on there. But we were, of course, in the middle of discussing the gator incident at Walt Disney World and what changes that might be bringing about. Justin, I know you were in the middle of debating reasons as to why they wouldn't shut off the beaches after that.
So so I think just a brief recap. We talked about where villas are going in at Wilderness Lodge, where they've gone in at Poly. There's a lot of ponds around this property, and I've seen gators just roaming around the outskirts of, say, Caribbean Beaches Loop, just minding their own business, but in a detention basin, what essentially amounts to a detention basin. So I think if Disney goes to the extreme of, say, Seven Seas Lagoon, maybe some of the waterways at Port Orleans, some of the other major resorts.
Now that you talk about the resorts,
there's a lot, right?
Yep,
so
there is. Every resort has water somewhere.
Yeah, so they can't just focus. I mean, even Hourglass Lake, between
Coronado,
and there's water everywhere, and so to take, even if they take some of the big ones, Bay Lake, Seven Seas, a couple of the others, and take care of them, they're never going to get them all. And when they start to assume responsibility to try to control wildlife, I think they're getting themselves into a bigger can of mess. So
they already do. Anytime they find a gator, they have it euthanized and removed.
They don't.
They do. They said it this morning.
That might have changed, but a couple of years ago, there was a gator that lived at the Beach Club Villas in the waterway that goes actually under the villas along the parking lot. There was a gator that lived there, and he was there for at least 3 years because I saw him on 2 separate trips. And it was the same gator, and I was talking to people at the front desk, and they said that they can't trap them and remove them until they get to a certain size.
And
that's a Florida law, I believe.
Yeah. It is. I was looking at that today.
So
maybe that's what he meant. Once they're over that size,
right? Then if they find them when they're over a certain size, they can trap them and remove them. But under a certain size, they cannot. Yeah. That's a Florida law, and Disney was abiding by it, and that's why there was a gator that lived at Beach Club Village for 3 years. And everyone knew about it. I mean, everyone at the front desk knew about it. Like, I think people like me went up to them and said, "Hey, I saw an alligator out there." They're like, "Yeah, they gave it a name. I forget what his name was, but
on a very unique tangent, the Cerro Lago out on International Drive has a pet alligator named Charlie. It's not like an actual pet in a cage. He comes up, the guy throws sausages to him every day. Like, you can ask the guy, the groundskeeper there at the Cerro Lago, he'll be like, "Oh, you want to come feed Charlie?" And you go throw sausage. We did it. We threw food at this alligator.
That is so dangerous.
We didn't go near him. He's down in the water, and there's a fence between, but we throw it over the fence. So you're safe. There's a fence there. He's not going to come through the fence. But in Florida, they're not rare. They live here. I mean, so... That is very possible that there was one just hanging out at the resort.
Let me just read the fact off the alligator bite facts PDF that the Florida Wildlife sent me. Never feed or entice alligators. It is dangerous and illegal when fed.
So Cerro Lago, now that there'll be an investigation on the Cerro Lago. Yeah, I apologize.
Thanks, Tom. You ruined it.
I feel like that guy's going to be... It's going to be like the guy in the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, where now he's going to cry when they take his gator away.
The next fact, inform others that feeding alligators is illegal and creates problems for others. So, there you go.
So I think the bottom line is we may see some events moved off of beaches. I don't think movie nights are going to be held on beaches at Beach Club and at Poly and
no.
GF
I think that
anymore.
Just has to be because I think there's going to be so many tourists who are going to be uneasy about it now.
Probably yeah.
Like, tourists just won't go because they're going to feel It's
and
the same way, and I equated it earlier to, and obviously this is a much more horrific thing, but for an example, when Jaws came out in the 70s. People were scared to go to the beaches, and that's just a movie. That's not something real that happened to anyone of any real circumstance. But just because people saw a movie, they were afraid to go to the beach, or even in pools for that matter. Imagine this. This is someone who really had their life taken away by this animal. That is a much more scarier thing.
Yeah.
People are very clearly who come here gonna be affected by it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, and I think. There have been alligators in rivers of America, and like Justin said, there's some body of water at pretty much every resort. I mean, Old Key West is built on a golf course that has a bunch of canals. I mean, I could climb out my right outside of my patio door and walk 10 feet and be at the water's edge. So, I think really, and like Justin said, a reactionary move by Disney to put up fences or whatever makes them look like they're taking responsibility. And if this is a 1 in 45-year event, as horrible as it is, if it's a 1 every 45-year event, I don't know that anything that Disney could do is going to solve the issue, and I don't know that it's justified.
Now, I have a feeling that this will create an awareness for a period of time. There will be, people on the lookout when they're near water. I think it will be a thing for a period of time, and then, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it will fade from people's memories over time, and then, things will get back to the way they were. And there hasn't, like you said, it hasn't happened. This is the first time in 45 years, and I think this would have to happen repeatedly for Disney to really take any initiative other than, warning people, educating people that they're there.
The other thing interesting is, and to Jason's point, fatal alligator attacks are so rare, and I'm sure these have all made the news, but they weren't the national news headline that this was because it was at Disney World, number one. And number two, Nick, as we talked about earlier, excuse me, it only really became probably a national news story as quickly as it did because everyone was here already.
Well, and because it's Disney and everything.
Yeah,
everything that happens at
That was
Disney.
point number one, but point number two is every national news outlet had cameras and reporters here because of the events on Sunday. So this is far much greater in the public consciousness than it might have been if it had happened on a different week or it had not happened at Walt Disney World. And it's only because if it happened anywhere else, nothing changes at Walt Disney World, but because it was Walt Disney World, regardless how infrequent these are.
And I think
you're absolutely right about that part of it. I suspect that even if it had happened any other week prior to anything else that had happened, it would still make the same type of headlines. I think in my mind there's two real questions here. Is first of all, what is the legal responsibility that Disney has, and what's their moral responsibility? Legally, I think they've already met the responsibility. I would be very, very shocked if there was any court finding for the family in this case. And I'm not even suggesting they're trying that. I'm just saying if it ever progressed to that point, Disney has probably met their legal responsibility to warn guests.
Disney's got the smartest lawyers on the planet.
And I
There's
think
also clearly signs there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I think from their moral responsibility, again, you could argue whether they've done enough already. I think they're going to take it a step further, and I bet this is what they're discussing in their conference rooms all this week is going to be, what should they do, and that's the discussion we're having. I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to see more strongly worded signs on the waterfront. I'm not necessarily sure they're going to close the beaches, but we will see signs that are very specific about what the dangers are. I also think they're going to do a better job of educating guests when they check into the resorts or signs around the resorts that indicate what these specific dangers are.
That's what I think.
I think that there's a huge difference between a sign that says no swimming and a sign that says if you swim here, you may get eaten by a gator or contract a brain-eating amoeba. I mean, we've seen those no swimming signs every single time we've gone there, but we've gone by the water. We've never gone in the water, but we've gone to the marshmallow roasts and everything, and we've done the movies, and they're right on the beaches. So my whole thing is, this entire situation just makes me absolutely sick to my stomach to think about. But also, I've heard both ways. The child was in the water, the child was out of the water. If he was really out of the water and the gator did come up out of the water and get him, that creates an entirely new issue because it's not even just staying out of the water. It's you have to stay
away from the water.
Away from the water.
Yeah, and so I think David's right. I think better signage, and as much as I want to say, look, the sign says no swimming, so stay out of the water. And like I said at the beginning, I think the kid probably was in the water because I don't know that the alligator could see him if he wasn't.
They can't. Can I cut in there real quick?
Yeah, he's got the fact sheet.
Well, I was reading these. There were 23 fatal alligator bites here, and they actually, like, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission actually lists the circumstance of each and every one. out of all these, only twice did it not say that the person was swimming. Once it did say that the person was outside the water, grabbed them. One of the other ones, it said it was unclear if the person was in or out of the water. So
2 out of all 23 is.
I do remember a story about a gator coming out of the water and grabbing a small dog. From somebody that was on a leash. So I do know that
was during the day, too.
That was during the day. So
Tonight they wouldn't be able to.
So maybe not. But I will say that it does make a big difference whether the kid was in or out of the water, because out of the water, that is, as Marcy said, that's a bit scarier, actually, too. And it's another level of worry. If he was in the water, I mean... and I don't. These gators. One thing I think they would say, because this is what I heard today. I think they would say this if we got them on the show, is that the gators aren't out there hunting people, but if they're disturbed, they will go after you, or if they think your food. I have a feeling that probably the gator was lurking nearby. The kid was splashing in the water, maybe bumped into it.
Yeah. I think that's probably certainly possible, and I think, short of, putting a big fence up or keeping people off, I think really warning guests or educating guests is really what Disney has the moral responsibility to do, not the legal responsibility, but moral responsibility is, I mean, as much as I want to say, a no swimming sign says stay out of the water, and I don't care if you think you're entitled to it or not, following the rules, you should be staying out of the water. I do really agree with Marcy that, there should be like alligator warning signs instead of just no swimming signs. I think that would help. I don't think it would solve the problem of keeping people out of the water, because there's still this entitlement mentality that people don't have to follow the rules. And, short of putting electric wires in the water so that people get zapped the minute they put their foot in, I don't know that Disney's going to be able to keep them out of the water completely.
I don't think it's any different from putting a do not enter sign somewhere. If you put a do not enter sign, I don't think it really matters what's behind whatever you're not supposed to enter. If you go in, whether a boulder rolls over you or bats attack you or whatever it is, you were told not to enter. I mean, that's the purpose of the sign, is telling you this is not a place you should be.
And it doesn't, the sign is a warning sign. It does not have to explain to you why it's saying what it's saying. But I think people need that because, like I said, today people think that the rules don't apply to them. Yeah. And so if you put, alligator warning signs, I think what Disney should do, and maybe they'll do this starting tomorrow, is hand out papers at check-in, like when they hand out a paper that says there's going to be construction.
That would cause so much mess.
No, it's
I can't see them going to that extreme.
They hand out stuff every time you check in a big folder, and all they're going to do is put in a couple paragraphs in any of that little pamphlets and the daily activities sheet that they hand out. They're just going to put a paragraph in that says, danger, Disney is a relatively unsettled area and there can be wildlife, including alligators. Stay away from the water at night. That's what they're going to do.
I think it would help also is if these beach areas, maybe by the coastline, did not look like beach. I mean, maybe if you added sharper rocks or something, or grass, you had sand up to a point and then you had grass.
That's a good idea.
Because when we were staying at, we just stayed at Port Orleans Riverside. There's lots of water there, but I mean, it's all, since it's supposed to be themed to New Orleans, it's more like swamp. So there's no way we'd even go near that. Whereas a beach looks very inviting. When somebody from out of state or out of the country comes to Florida, a lot of times they don't just go to Disney, they go to the beach. Yeah. So when you come and see white sand beaches, your natural reaction is going to go run into the water. So I feel like if it's not supposed to be that inviting, maybe it shouldn't look like that. I mean, at least for the entire portion of it.
Yeah.
Now,
someone in the chat, by the way, they're saying Coronado has signs. 2 people have said it. Or are they specifically, I'm going to ask the chat, are they specifically alligator signs? Is that a real thing? Which, I imagine exist because there are deer crossing signs. I've seen bear crossing signs in my life. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are alligator warning signs.
Well, there definitely are.
Yeah.
At certain places. I mean, there's a lake down the street from where I live. There's alligator signs.
Yeah? What do they look like? Are they yellow with like an alligator on them?
I'll have to take a picture. I can't think off the top of my head. I think it's actually just like a wooden sign with a white thing and an alligator kind of on. No, I don't think it's an official like alligator.
Oh,
thing.
people say they have the rocks.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I see one actually. So I'm looking at there's a YouTube video from Shades of Green where there's a sign that has an alligator on it. It says Florida is a natural wildlife habitat, and there's a picture of an alligator and a snake.
There you go.
So there are some signs that talk about alligators.
Yeah, golf courses actually in Florida here.
Yeah, most of them do.
Yeah.
Gator signs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. What was that, like 2 weeks ago? That giant gator on that golf course.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing here.
So now the other part of this is how is it going to affect any attractions? And apparently it already has.
So the Jungle Cruise today cut the jokes about children and alligators and all crocodiles and all crocodile jokes, which someone on Twitter was a smartass and said to me they're different things. Technically, yes, but I think it's close enough for people who are emotionally shaken by the incident, which you have to be inhuman to not be. It is a small boy's life taken by a creature. So obviously they don't make the joke about the crocodiles watching your kids anymore. There's no more ginger snaps or they're waiting for handouts or any of that. That's all gone, and I assume it will be for a very long time, if not forever. I speculate Jungle Cruise is likely to lose that scene, and they'll put something else there just so they don't have to awkwardly be silent past it. Obviously, I don't expect it living with the land. They'll do anything with those
Splash
guys.
Mountain.
No, and Laguna Gator and Ice Gator aren't going to go anywhere. That's the only one I think, just because it was a joke and
it has to do with kids.
Yeah, and because the scene now there's no reason to mention the scene anymore. Like, I don't think they'll remove the ones over by the temple. I don't think they'll remove them with the elephant. I think they'll just remove the two just sort of sitting there by the waterfall just because they were their own scene, technically. But I get the feeling they won't be there forever.
Actually, so I would say I can understand, and it would make sense to not make jokes about alligators, but just removing alligators from the attraction is kind of maybe the opposite of the response, because alligators are everywhere in Florida, so why shouldn't they be on the Jungle Cruise?
I think the two attractions that came to mind besides Jungle Cruise for me were actually Splash Mountain, which I know sounds ridiculous, and maybe it's just the rawness of the emotion of the event, but you actually do have an alligator biting down on another living thing. The other one was at Animal Kingdom on the safari, where you go over the bridge, which is threatening to tip you over into the alligator pit. Yeah. And I just, again, I don't want to make any rash comments about this because, again, we got to let things settle down, but, are those areas where they could change something to make it a little bit more, I don't know, less making the alligator seem less, I don't know what the term to even use in that case.
So I think what you're getting at, David, is this is where I thought you were going with that in Peter Pan's Flight.
A good one too.
Peter Pan's Flight, right? Like that's
in the movie. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Right. Well, that's in the movie, and it's kind of an animated thing, and it's so yeah. But I mean, if they go really over the top with this, that could be a place they want to look at too. But that, I think, is, like you're saying, David, is making alligators more. They're not dangerous in that situation. It's more of like a crazy scene from the movie, and that's something having to do with the movie. So it's not, if they remove the gator scene from Peter Pan's Flight, I think there would be, justifiable outrage from the Disney fan community.
Right, and I think we have to avoid overstepping it because we don't want a Jaws situation where, that led to the actual killing of many, many sharks, and
right.
So I don't think gators should be treated that way. But
well, you gotta look at it this way: theme parks simulate in many cases, a lot of very dangerous things from real life.
It's part of drama.
Yeah, a really great example would be, even though it was one of the worst attractions I've ever seen in my entire life, Twister Ride It Out. Like, what was it, like 2-3 months before the attraction was going to open, or actually it probably was about the time it was supposed to open, there was an actual Twister that killed a lot of people. They pushed back the opening slightly, but still opened the attraction.
And many
I think
people
that was
liked it.
respectful and
Right.
And I mean, at the end, that's probably all they could do. I mean, that's like every time there is a shark attack, I don't think it prompted Universal to close Jaws. It's based on a movie where there's a killer shark. I mean, like you can't do that. Like it's not the way the world. My only thought with Jungle Cruise was that little scene. There's really just 2 crocodiles there, and it'd be more awkward if they're just going to drive past that for the rest of eternity to not just put something else there.
Well, or make a different
the other
joke.
crocodiles that don't serve a purpose, like the 2 they pass on the way to the temple that just kind of float up, aren't really bothering anybody. They don't get mentioned. No. There's no reason to get rid of them.
I mean, I think if they just changed the joke,
that aren't contributing to the ride anymore in that case, probably can be replaced with a fun scene.
Or they could just change the joke to not talk about crocodiles eating your children.
But it is a sore subject. I mean, it happened there. So probably any joke they can make about crocodiles is just not going to be... Well, the only one I can think of is for Jingle Cruise, they do a joke about crock pots, and that's it.
There you go.
You know, he wanted a slow cooker, but it's a crock. And so that's fine, but really, otherwise it's going to be about them eating people, and we should probably just stay away from that.
Now, Tom, I know earlier, like I mentioned, we tried to contact the Florida Wildlife Commission. So I was trying to think of anyone else we could have contacted to talk about this. I thought about maybe Gatorland. Do you want to? Should we get? Maybe there's someone over there that can talk to us about gators. Yeah. You want?
I will warn
them a call.
Those of you who are easily offended. You're going to want to not listen to the show right now. But we called this earlier. And number one, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. But number two, there's a really uncomfortable comment that's going to be made.
Well, hi, folks, and thank you for calling us right here at Gatorland. A veritable extravaganza of fun and excitement. Home of the all-new Screaming Gator Zipline, man. You're going to love this place. Just not right this here minute, because, well, we're closed for the night.
Oh.
For generally información en Española, you can press number 5.
This guy's excited.
I can't believe how long...
Don't know where, you just sit right here. I'm telling you, Gatorland's open every single day from 10 a.m. till the chickens come home. That's currently 6 p.m. Now, don't forget in here, for $26.99. Children 3 through 12 years of age are just $18.99. And why, them little gator bait youngins under 3 is always free. I'm sure you already know this, but in case you've been living under a rock somewhere,
we'll have to see if they'll
they're going to have to
change that tomorrow.
Someone's going to be extraordinarily offended. And rightfully so. I mean, it's not their fault it happened.
No.
He's still going, by the way.
Oh, he'll go on for the next 8.5 minutes.
It's not that long.
I think it is.
Is it really?
It was pretty long.
Well, we're going to find... Are we timing this?
No, but we should. I can call him back. Been going
no,
for
don't call him back. We're going to start going over then.
What's been going on for about a minute?
Gatorland.com to learn all about
Yeah, a minute and a half.
Now get this, the best part.
We'll say it started at 26 after.
We'll just check it in the recording afterwards.
Yeah, we'll check on it when we're done the show. But so yeah, we tried to get someone for Gatorland and didn't happen.
And they're closed, unfortunately.
Now, if you're looking for...
But unfortunately not permanent.
Any of them other fun-loving folks that work here at Gatorland...
Is this still happening?
You just go ahead and press it at any time.
This will teach you a lesson about calling Gatorland after they're closed.
Well, you can press that button that has the number 3 on it. Now you're getting the hang of it, ain't you?
I really want this guy on the show, though.
Park information on it.
You'll have to call them tomorrow when they're open.
Hey, if you want general park information, prices,
the mistakes and all, they just turned on the tape recorder.
Talking to himself while I was doing it.
Well, you just take your big old
Maybe he can do the voicemail prizes for the next marathon show.
Or to get our address to plug into your little old GPS.
This guy's going to go for 60 hours.
You can press 0 at any time.
Let's talk about the mug of the week while this guy's still ranting.
What you got?
This is the Animal Kingdom Rivers of Light. This is the other lantern mug they're selling. Look, you can see the animals.
That's awesome.
And it does this. Hold on.
Oh, is he done?
Oh, did he finally finish?
Yeah, so it's about 3.5 minutes.
And it collapses.
Hopefully it doesn't collapse when it's full of drink.
It could, though. We wanted to see how big of a disaster it'll make, but we'll have to do that another night.
Another time.
So that's like a 4-minute.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, it so is. So there you go. Just one. I have to read this one other Gator fact. This was. We have the list of people who unfortunately, had to fail.
Oh, please share that one.
Well, apparently back in 2007,
we could use some lighthearted fun.
A young man by the name of Justo. He was actually running from the police when he decided it would be probably a good idea to swim across a pond to escape custody of the police. While he was doing that, he all of a sudden disappeared under the water, and his body was later recovered at the bottom of the pond. And unfortunately, he was bitten by a 9.5-foot alligator and drowned.
What was he on the run for?
It doesn't say. It does not say. But
I remember, I think, hearing about that. I think that was all the late night talk shows had their way with that.
It was down in Miami area.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Nonetheless, it has been a extraordinarily rough week in Orlando at Disney World.
And that's not even talking about the singer that was shot.
Yeah, that as well.
On Saturday.
Grimmy,
Christine Grimmy?
Yeah. Was on The Voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I remember waking up the morning after that happened and being like, that sounds awful. She looked like she was such a nice girl and people loved her and it's really horrible. And then this week has just kind of not stopped.
Yeah.
Even beyond that, the fire at Universal, and it has been a crazy week.
But we're gonna have to lighten the mood a little bit here. Coming up in the last half hour here, we're gonna come back with our opening monologue. Go over some news. Talk a little bit about things going on around Walt Disney World.
We're gonna talk about donating again, and then Nick, you have a game for me to play.
I do. I have a game for you to play, Tom, because you consider yourself a wrestling aficionado.
I do. So apparently you did this on your show.
On my podcast, on the Jedi Hero Princess podcast, we have a Star Wars expert, myself, and a princess, Zoe, but we also have a Marvel expert, my friend Brent, expert. Yeah. And so we like to play these games like we originally played with Zoe, Asian Nation Leader or Jedi Knight, and that was a fan favorite. So we decided to play one with Brent, and it was called 80s Pro Wrestler or Marvel Character.
And you said he only got 6 of 10.
6 of 10, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna challenge you to a round of that a little bit later on in the show. But first, WDW News Tonight, brought to you tonight by Magical Travel. Magical Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner and is always ready to assist you in making your next trip to the Walt Disney World Resort, Disneyland Resort, or aboard the Disney Cruise Line even more magical. Right now, get a free dining plan when you buy a package that includes a room at select Walt Disney World Resort Hotel and ticket for arrivals most nights August 23rd through December 21st, 2016 when you book by July 8th. I don't get to talk about the Awakened Summer and the Magic Band anymore. The number of rooms available for this offer is limited, so make sure to act fast. For more information on this special offer and many more, visit magicaltravel.com and go ahead and book your next Disney vacation today.
The Apopka Fire Department want kids to stay safe in the car. Road injuries are the leading cause of preventable deaths and injuries among children. Safety seats can reduce that risk by up to 71%. Here are some tips. Make sure all passengers are buckled up while the car is in motion. Young kids should be secured in a car seat according to their height, weight, and age. See manufacturer or stop by any Apopka fire station for assistance. Children younger than 6 are to be in a federally approved car seat. It's the law. And don't forget to register your safety seat so that you're notified about any product recalls. To find out more, go to apopka.net. So from the Apopka Fire Department, remember these easy tips. Make sure all passengers are buckled up while the car is in motion. Young kids should be secured in a car seat according to their height, weight, and age. See the manufacturer's label for all the details. Or make sure you stop by any Apopka fire station for complete assistance. Children younger than 6 are to be in a federally approved car seat. It's the law. And register your safety seat so you're notified about product recalls. For more details, go to apopka.net. That's apopka.net. The safety reminder from the Apopka Fire Department.
In the market for a new home? Write down this number, 407-247-4184. Growing up, you didn't notice if your home was small or if the curtains were old. The important things about home were jumping into bed with mom and dad during a storm, getting to lick the spoon whenever mom baked a cake, and playing hide and seek in the backyard. Now you care about things like good neighborhoods, square footage, and whether or not there's a breakfast nook. You also want to buy a home that gives you all the good feelings of the one you grew up in. A home where you walk in the door and you know this is home. That's where Todd Schroth of RE/MAX Central Realty can help.
Hi, I'm Todd Schroth of RE/MAX Central Realty. A house is more than just a place to keep your things and lay your head. It's where you live life, create memories, and share tradition. Put our 20-plus years experience to work for you, and hey, let's find you a home.
Todd is a local community expert, a gold-level top producer, and a member of the RE/MAX Hall of Fame. Call the Todd Schroth Real Estate Team at RE/MAX Central Realty today. Call 407-247-4184. Online at keepingorlandomoving.com. Come on, let's get moving. Do you have enough drinking water at home or work? For whatever life throws at you. This is Florida, and you can never have enough good, wholesome drinking water on hand for meetings, family gatherings, even Mother Nature's wrath. Be prepared with Carolina Highland Mountain Spring Water delivered directly to your home or business. Call 407-851-7144 or online at carolinabottled.water.com. There are no delivery fees, no contracts, and now take advantage of their Be Prepared delivery special in individual bottles, dispensers, and coolers. The purest water delivered to your doorstep. Guaranteed. Get started now. Call 407-851-7144, 407-851-7144, or online at carolinabottled.water.com. Refreshing taste, unrivaled purity, the healthier choice for home or office. Carolina's Highland Mountain Spring Water. Call 407-851-7144, online at carolinabottled.water.com. Refresh today.
America. Welcome back to WDW News Tonight. Very quickly, I want to mention this. If you're listening to this show right now, I need you to do something. I need you to go donate. I know, unlike the big thing we do every November, I can't check on you to make sure you're donating. I can't yell at you. I can't say we need to make it to a certain amount or anything like that. But oneorlando.org needs money. There are a lot of people who have been affected by the horrible things that happened here over the weekend, and I would like our audience to help out. So please go and donate. I don't care if it's $1, I don't care if it's $5, $10, whatever you can. Please donate to this wonderful cause. It's the least we can do. Orlando is a wonderful home to our beloved theme parks and to many of us here at WDWNT. So
there's a lot of things these families are going to need, a lot of support, a lot of help, and you know, it's going to be a very sad week here in Orlando. I mean, just so many people grieving, so many funerals, so many memorials. You know, it's going to be a tough week to get through here, and so you know. Show your support, and we really do appreciate that. You know, helping those people out, helping, you know, a little bit to help get their lives back in order. And it's really tough. And man, just feel for those people who are going through this right now.
Yeah. So once again, if you enjoy this show every week in any way, shape, or form, please pay us back by giving money to these people. oneorlando.org. Please, again, whatever you can, even if it's just $1, if that's all you can afford to give, it's going to help someone who really, really needs it right now. You know, certainly we do Toys for Tots every year, and that's fun. It's nice to give kids a nice Christmas, but this is probably something way more serious and more urgent, and they really need this right now. So Disney gave a wonderful start with that $1 million, and let's finish it off.
All right, on to the news.
Anyway, yes, let's lighten the mood a little, shall we? At least try. Not going to be any funnier than we usually are. Warn you that now. And now the news.
It might seem funnier compared to what we just did, so
I would hope so.
Well, no, I mean, in general, we set the bar down here now.
Yeah, right.
Here we go.
Of course, now the news brought to you by T-Public, of course. Still ongoing. Guests at Walt Disney World currently are unable to book Fast Pass Plus reservations. I know what you're saying, Tom. How is this different from any other day? The service interruption is still affecting all booking online and through the app. In-park kiosks were somewhat functioning earlier in the day. All existing Fast Pass Plus reservations are unaffected in the outage, so they'll just not function as usual. If guests... again, I did that already, didn't I? No, I didn't. If guests try to book online, the system informs them that distribution has concluded for the day, which, of course, inaccurate. Like the 2017 announced opening date of Pandora, the World of...
Avatar joke of the week!
Finish?
Yeah. Had a dance. Makes me feel good.
Fair enough. Disney is unsure of when the problem might be fixed, and of course stay tuned for any updates as they are provided on that. Beginning of July 11, 2016, the Sassagoula Floatworks and Food Factory Food Court at French Quarter will be closed to undergo a significant remodeling. Yeah, they're finally going to clean all the beignet stains off the seating area. These things are a disaster. You ever try to eat them and not destroy the table you're at? It just looks like looks like Scarface was there.
Awful.
Yeah, anyway.
Tastes good, though.
While work is being done, guests can go to Scat Cat's Lounge for jambalaya gumbo, po' boy sandwiches, other hot and cold entrees, as well as the infamous beignets. A selection of grab-and-go options are also going to be available. An in-room pizza delivery service will continue to be offered from 4 p.m. until midnight, with guest heartburn lasting about the same amount of time. That service, of course, will offer pizza, hot and cold sandwiches, and what Disney calls pasta. Also, bus transportation to Port Orleans Riverside will be available from 7 a.m. until midnight to accommodate guests who may want to dine at the Riverside Mill Food Court or Boatwright's Dining Hall. And it also is available for when the restrooms are overflowing for people who have the pizza. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Work is expected to be complete on the Sassagoula Floatworks and Food Factory in the fall of 2016, provided the Rivers of Light team isn't working. I don't know. There's floats in this, so I don't know.
Float works.
It's not the same people working on these floats.
I hope not.
You hear that?
Hear what? No. You got another story for us, Tom? They can't be it. Got anything else?
Disney Vacation Club members have often complained how far it can be sometimes to get from their resort room to the front of the hotel's main lobby. This, of course, right after they complained about the existence of all other guests. Get it? They're entitled. If a guest staying at Bay Lake Tower wanted to valet park their car, they'd have to walk all the way down to the front of the main building of the resort next door, a lengthy hike for a paid add-on service. Well, Bay Lake Tower is now testing a valet parking service for guests at the hotel, located at the main entrance of the Bay Lake Tower building. Should be pretty convenient for those not in an ECV.
Ouch.
They can get to the other one real fast.
They sure can.
The test could mean a rollout to other vacation club resorts with their own separate entrances, but may also be paving the way for another major milestone in the DVC, which I thought we'd have out by now, but in light of current events, we have not posted yet. Next week, we'll talk about it. In addition, rumor has it that Magical Express may soon offer a drop-off to Bay Lake Tower and other DVC Resort may start dropping DVC Resort guests off at the front door of their actual resorts, the DVC wings, rather than dropping them off at the often distant main lobby of the hotel overall, and sometimes OBT by accident.
I hate when that happens.
Should
No,
have
wait, I have
OBT joke of the week.
I just end up at OBT.
Yeah, there should be.
Wonder
I
what
have a
that
complaint.
sound effect would be.
When
We probably can't air whatever that sound effect would be.
When Magical Express
Rumors
drops
have been
me
swirling for weeks that a major menu change is coming to the Jungle Cruise Skipper Canteen restaurant. On top of that, Disney suddenly began accepting advanced dining reservations up to 180 days out for the restaurant just a week ago in an effort to draw in more guests. Well, over the last few days, the kids menu at the restaurant has undergone some changes as well. Now gone from the menu are the Safari Soup and the Amazon Annie's Housemaid Arepas. New items replacing those. There's a Safari Snack and Chef Tendahi's Crispy Chicken. Also, the mac and cheese got a dumbed-down description in order not to scare children away, believe it or not. The bigger changes to the main menu are still expected, but appear to have been delayed at least for now, and expect them sometime before Avatar. Oh, boy. Anyway. There's also, talking about Skipper Canteen, they recently, of course, abolished long-term plans to only be available for walk-up guests or same-day reservations. Now the Plaza restaurant will be adopting that model. While existing ADRs will be honored, future reservations can only be made for 1 hour a day between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. in the afternoon. Why this 1 hour block? Well, because guests that don't plan always arrive in the afternoon and then complain they can't get into anything without a wait.
Is that a joke?
It's probably true.
I think it's true.
Is that a
So
joke? I told you it was going to be bad, folks. I warned you.
Good. Look, I've been laughing.
Yeah. Otherwise, the restaurant will now only be taking walk-in guests and those with pre-existing ADRs that have been booked in advance for the next 180 days. We assume once all pre-booked ADRs are honored, the Plaza restaurant will become available only via walk-up or by complaining guests. For years, spontaneous guests have complained about the little availability around Walt Disney World for walk-ups at table service establishments, so this may be Disney's first attempt to appease guests who oppose pre-planning. That wasn't a joke. That was like I give up. I give up on this week's show. Give it up.
Oh, God.
It has been quite the revolving door at the Mills stage at the Cannon Pavilion since Off Kilter bagged their last pipe back in 2014. From the Canadian Lumberjacks to several more somewhat forgettable acts that have been present since then. So what do you put in place of these? What would fix the problem? Well, a circus act, of course. That's what's there now.
No joke.
No, it's a real thing. Les Parfaits in Cannes, which I believe is also something offered at the France Bakery, combines music. It's one snack credit. Combines music, circus art, and comedy to create unforgettable shows. Hailing from Quebec, the talented artists and athletes demonstrate a mastery of several circus disciplines, as well as a proficiency with musical instruments. Unlike the Canadian Lumberjacks, who are only proficient in making noise to a crowd of 3. Who wants to see log rolling? We got rid of half the seats for it. The show is being presented daily throughout the summer or until Off-Kilter fans start screaming, "You suck" at the mimes. See what happens.
Oh, man.
According to Scott Joseph of Scott Joseph's Orlando Restaurant Guide, we had him on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Scott Hunnell, the much-celebrated head chef of Victoria and Albert's, has been named the executive chef for the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. In that position, he will oversee the hotel's restaurants, which includes Citricos, 1900 Park Fair, and the Grand Floridian Cafe. No, I didn't miss Narcoossee's. I just refused to call that a restaurant. Known for its Italian food, of course, according to my boat driver. Hunnell's move is the culmination of a number of changes among top-tier Disney chefs in recent months. Brian Pizzecki left California Grill for another position within the company, likely while still waiting for the delivery of food from downstairs. As did Philip Ponticelli, who had been the top chef at Citricos. Tim Keating left Flying Fish Cafe and the company when the Boardwalk restaurant closed for renovations earlier this year. Dennis Thompson had been named has been named the new head chef at the California Grill, and he will try to do what no one before him could do: deliver a meal in a reasonable amount of time. Following that restaurant's the worst. I don't care what anybody says.
It's
so bad. It never gets there on time. My family's still there from New Year's like 10 years ago. They're still sitting there. Don't worry, guys. I'll be back soon. I'll make it to appetizers. It's remodeled around the people waiting for their food when they closed. Oh boy. Oh, this week's show.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, following in the footsteps of Seekers of the Weird, Figment and Figment 2 and the Haunted Mansion, Disney announced an all-new adventure in the Tiki Room from Disney Kingdoms. The 5-part comic series will debut this fall at Disney Parks and on the eBay of every sad man who buys all the variant covers.
Oh, boy. You missed Big Thunder. That happened, too.
Did it?
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
but I'm excited. Tiki Room.
I know.
Tiki Room, my favorite.
Very, very excited for that.
Who brought us the news this week?
You know what? Tom T. Public did.
Yes.
And you go to WDWNT.com and find our T Public link right there to shop hundreds of designs for T-shirts, phone cases, prints, and more, including exclusive WDW News Today logo apparel and other creations. And tonight, everything is on sale. Looks like shirts are just $14 each.
Including that new one, Jason. Show them the new one. It's the website that must not be named, according to everyone on WDW Magic. It's WDWNT.com. I love that one.
That's a good one.
I'm going to pick up that one tonight.
Good font there. Head over to WDWNT.com and start shopping by clicking on that TeePublic link. TeePublic is an official partner of WDW News Tonight. All right, Tom, you're ready to play a little game with me.
I am. I'm ready to prove I'm better than Brett.
All right, Tom, we're going to play 80s pro wrestler or Marvel character, okay? You profess that you're a big wrestling fan.
Very much so.
Yeah. So I put up this little game here. You got to tell me if the following, we have 10 people here. You got to tell me if they are from the wrestling universe or from Marvel. Here we go. Agent Zero.
Marvel.
You got it. Bushwhacker.
Oh, that's wrestler.
No.
The Bushwhacker.
It's not an 80s. Well, this is Bushwhacker.
Oh, okay.
Bushwhacker.
All right. Well, that one's a trick one.
Well, that's the point
the
of the
Bushwhackers,
game.
Luke and Butch, are 80s wrestlers.
Well, they're a tag team.
Yeah, but in my defense, Nick, you usually get the names of stuff wrong, so I just assumed you were pronounced.
Junkyard Dog.
That is a wrestler.
That is a wrestler. Jimmy Woo.
That's got to be Marvel.
Got it. Abdullah the Butcher.
Wrestler.
Got it. Tommy Rich.
Wrestler.
Got
Playboy Tommy Rich.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. The Banshee.
Ooh, that could be both. I'm going to go Marvel.
Got it. Mr. Perfect.
Kurt Hennig, wrestler. God, I love him.
The Midnight Express.
Wrestlers.
Fat Cobra.
Marvel.
Got it. Only one wrong there.
9 out of 10. What, Brent, get 6?
Yeah. You
might as well start calling me Mr. Perfect.
You want some more? You want some more?
Do you have more?
We got more.
All right, I'll do more. Fine, go.
All right, we'll do a couple more here. We got a little bit of time. Dick Murdoch.
Wrestler.
Got it. The Ultimate Warrior.
Wrestler.
Blizzard.
Oof. Marvel.
Yokozuna.
Wrestler.
Johnny Blaze.
Marvel.
Hate you. Warlord.
Wrestler.
Ding and Dong.
Wrestler. I told you I was going to destroy this.
You are good at this. Polaris.
Marvel.
Rick Jones.
Marvel?
The Outlaw Kid.
Wrestler. Oh.
Mr. Sinister.
Wrestler. Oh, now I'm losing it.
That's it. There we go.
Right.
Yeah.
I ended weak.
Yeah, you did.
I did good, though.
You did really good.
Yes.
You know you're a wrestler, so it's easy to eliminate that.
Yeah.
There you go.
But there was a lot of those. You did a good job putting together. There were a lot of those that made me think.
Yeah, especially if you didn't know wrestling. I would think that a lot of them... Because
they sound like... It is funny how similar those can be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're both living that same cartoony world at times.
All right, Tom. You ready to find out who out there is mad at you?
I am ready to make everybody happy at my expense.
All right, here we go, Tom. Disney. This was your article. Disney drops plans for Tower of Terror themed bar at Hollywood Studios. Gil wrote in, I highly doubt this was even an actual thing they were thinking of doing. Just another rumor from WDWNT. Yeah. Tom, you wrote an opinion piece a while back. This comment came in a while after the article was written on why moving the Sorcerer's Hat from Hollywood Studios was a good thing.
I didn't write that. We have this argument all the time.
Oh, you didn't write that?
No, that's someone else on the site wrote.
Well, someone else hates this person because they said that is stupid. The Mickey hat is the original. It should be left alone. We'll never see great show centers anymore. Yeah, there you go. How about Guardians of the Galaxy to replace Tower of Terror? And Captain America launch coaster coming. Remember that?
I did write that.
Yeah, Jamie wrote in, we people in California would care if the Tower of Terror was rethemed. Thank you very much. It's a staple. I don't care if it's not the same as ones in the other park. No ride is. It's unique to our park, and it will be missed. Theodore wrote in, honestly, if they were to redo the Tower of Terror, they turn it into a Hightower Hotel-style ride. But Guardians of the Galaxy? Really, Tom? Nice clickbait. Yeah. Then this person, I don't know if they were mad at you, but they left this comment on your website under a very unrelated article about Via Napoli selling their 1 millionth pizza. JJ was very mad at you, wondering, hey, Tom, what happened to wait times on my Disney app? I don't know why they were asking Tom. But they did.
Oh.
So there you go.
Million pizza.
So the people that hate Tom this week.
Well, people hated me today for writing that it was unclear if the incident with the gator was a real thing or not. And we had to write that until the authorities confirmed it was a real thing. We posted as if was unclear either side of the situation. So it is what it is.
But anyway, we're running out of time this week. Tom, we're going to play a song here in its entirety towards the end of the show here. But I just wanted to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Thank you to Mike for coming on the show, talking security with us. And we appreciate the WDWNT crew for coming on with us tonight. Remember to go to oneorlando.org.
Please donate.
Really, I know you guys feel it, but it is a very difficult time around here in Orlando. We appreciate everybody's thoughts and everybody's everybody that's rallying around Orlando in the past week.
Next week will be fun again. Frozen Ever After, Star Wars: A Galactic Spectacular, Soaring Around the World all start. So with that, remember, kids, we go on.
With the stillness of the night, there comes a time to understand, to reach out and touch tomorrow, take the future in our hand. We can see a new horizon built on all that we have done. And our dreams begin another 1,000 circles around the sun. We go on to the joy and through the tears. We go on to discover new frontiers. We go on Spirit born to love the rising sun to a new day we go.